Okay, this video I will go through the YTSS Prelim 2022 question 6. So question 6 is all about ray diagram. In fact, I picked this question because I know that most of you are weaker in the virtual image formation. So in this question, I didn't give you the lens. However, I have given you the object and the virtual image. So for those of you who are slightly weaker in sketching of ray diagram, what I suggest you to do is that whenever you are given a question on ray diagram, what you can do is that you can quickly sketch out the standard model. So there are two standard ray diagram model, one for real image, one for virtual image. So here I will be sketching out the one on virtual image. So for example, what I will do is that from memory, I will quickly sketch out how the template look like. If you have been doing your own notes, you'll be able to do so just as I am doing now. So this is the virtual image ray diagram template. There's one for real image as well. It will look slightly different because in that case your image will be on this side. But generally the idea is the same. Basically, you are just helping yourself visualize how the rays would actually look like in a complete ray diagram. So for example, if you are given something like this, it is not complete, but if you have a reference diagram next to you, it will be easier for you to visualize. So after you draw the template, what you can do is that you can label out the points. So essentially there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points that are essential to a ray diagram. For the real image template, you would have slightly more dots. You will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. In fact, it's the same number. It's 5, 6, 7 of them, right? Here as well, you will have 6 and 7. So when you have the template, how do you use it to help you solve your exam question is that you can label them. So for example, I can label this as point 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So after you label them, you can actually ask yourself, what are the points that you already have, right? I have point 1, I have point 2, I have point 3, I have point 4, right? And that is what I have in the question. So if let's say you compare this, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So focus on the point 1, focus on the point 1, 2, 3, 4, and ask yourself, between these points, right, 1, 2, 3, 4, what are the points that are linked? And very quickly you can actually see that point 2 and point 4 actually has a straight line that extends to point 6. So once you have this, then you can then help yourself and do the same thing for here. Point 2 will link to point 4, and extending from it, you would have point 6, right? So by doing so, you realize that, okay, now I have point 6, and point 6, according to the template, is actually where the lens is. So by just doing so, you can actually solve one of the question over here. So you would have, so you would have this, right? So remember your lens diagram has a double arrow, right? Is to signify how a converging lens looks like. So this is where the double arrow thing comes from. Yeah, so once you have this, you realize now you have located the lens, which would help you answer this part of the question. Continue looking at your template. You realize that now that you have the lens, you also expose this line 5, which is linked to point number 4 over here, right? So I know 4 and 5 are linked by a horizontal line. So here I will look at point 4 and I will draw a horizontal line from point 4, right? And this will give me my point number 5 according to my ray diagram, which is over here, right? So now I have point number 5. Then this answer is not complete yet, right? Because it still doesn't look like my template, ray diagram. So now I notice that actually point number 2 and point number 5 has a straight line, and this straight line between 2 and 5 would extend to point number 7. So what I do is that I do the similar thing, right? I go to point 2, extend it to point 5, right? There will be a line, and then this line will extend itself, right? So I extend itself, and I realize that I would have created point 7, which is my focal point, right? So now if you look at my answer and my ray diagram template over here and compare it with my answer, you can see that it is now very similar, except that I do not have all the virtual ray ready. So now what I do is that I just take out my eraser and I just form the part whereby it is virtual ray. I can't do it properly on my end, so what I will do is that maybe I will switch it to white color, and then I can do this. So all this should be dotted line because it is part of the virtual image, virtual rays, right? And for the rest of it, I should have an arrow to show that this is a real ray. So by doing so, I basically answered A part 2. Yeah. Then now I have part B, which is a continuation of an existing line, which is over here. So this existing line, what happened is that I need to be very convinced that the ray will travel in a straight line until it hits the lens, right? So when the ray hit the lens, what happened is that it will refract. So I do not know whether it will refract this way, this way, this way, or this way. But I know that after going through the lens, it will be refracted in a way that it should goes back to the image, right? All the rays should converge at the image. So with this information, what I can do is that from this point, I will converge this towards my image. And just like this ray that you see here between point 2, point 5, and point 7, you can see that 2, 5 forms a straight line and extend it to 7. So similarly, I will extend this line from 2. Oh, I forgot to use the straight line too. From 2, I will extend it to where it cuts the lens, extend it out all the way to the other side. Right. So once I do that, I realize that, oh, okay, now I have I have the ray ready. But then remember, all the rays that is on this side should be virtual ray. So I will dot it. And now you can see how my real ray works. It goes this way, and then after that it get refracted by this amount of deflection, and then that's how the complete ray diagram will look like. Yeah, so there are a few of you which I have indicated on your paper that you are very weak in your ray diagram. I really hope that you could take out the worksheet that we have given you in secondary 3 to practice your ray diagram again. Okay, because ray diagram is something that very likely Cambridge will test you on. Then for the last question is about how the object change, the effect of how the object change will have an effect on its image. So firstly, here I have given you, I suppose is an easy question because your object is actually the source of your light, right? So this thing here basically is the source of all your rays. And if this source is being blocked, what happens is that those rays will not even go to the lens. And if the ray cannot go from object to lens, then how can there be an image? Am I right? Because the object is the source. So because of that, if the bottom half of the object is blocked, then the bottom half of the image will disappear because now the source is gone, right? Then in the second part of C, basically the lens is gone. However, if only the bottom half of the lens is gone, the top half of the lens will be still converging the rays from the object to the image. So I have given some actually I've spoke about this many times, but let me do it again since this is a revision for some of you. So now the object is there. It is the source of all the rays. So what happens is the standard ray will go like that, and then when the ray hits the lens will refract the ray such that it will form an image over here, right? And you must remember that these two rays are not all the rays. There are other rays coming from the object, and the lens will continue to do its job to converge these rays towards the image. So now if the top half of the lens is gone, or the bottom half of the lens is gone, for example, if this part is gone, then yeah, these few rays will be gone, because now without the lens, your ray from the object will just go on in its straight pathway, and it will no longer converge to the original position of the lens. However, the top half of the lens is still functioning, and it will continue to converge the rays towards the converging point. So because of that, what we can see is that there are less rays converging to the position of the image. So as a result, what happens is that your image will be dimmer, less light. And dimmer is not the same as blur. Blur means out of focus, meaning that, for example, you have placed an screen over here, then yeah, it will be blur, right? Or you place the screen over here, it will be blur. So blur and dimmer describe very different images. So I hope that in this video, I kind of refresh your understanding of your ray diagram. Remember to really learn by heart the template shape of your ray diagram. There are two of them, one for virtual image, one for real image. And by doing so, you can just use the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to help you visualize how a complete ray diagram should look like as you answer the question. Like I said before, if you have doubts and all that, do clear them before you graduate. And remember to subscribe and like so that I can